Hello and welcome to Production Pulse, Industry Week's bi-weekly live stream where we discuss important issues facing the manufacturing world. And today we are going to be discussing the biennial event that drives a lot of discussion in manufacturing, which is the International Manufacturing Technology Show, which starts next week here in Chicago. This is an annual show, every other year show, even year show. It brings in as many as 100,000 people to McCormick Place in Chicago to come see the latest and greatest tools and equipment that are going to be available for plants in the near future. Discussing this with me today are Tom Wilk, who is the editor-in-chief of Plant Services, one of our partner publications over here at Endeavor Business Media. Welcome, Tom.
Thanks, Robert.
We also have Robert Brooks, who is the editor-in-chief of American Machinist and Foundry Management and Technology. Is that correct, Bob?
That's right. Thanks, Robert.
Thank you.
Hi, Tom.
Sometimes the various names can get a little confusing with all the different ones. And hopefully here we have Sharon Spielman from Machine Design. Hi, Sharon. Oh, we're still having trouble with Sharon's audio. So thank you for trying to join us today, Sharon, but miming doesn't really cut it these days for audio production, so we will follow up. We'll be talking to Sharon again next week at the show to see some of the things that she's seen, and we'll have some more discussion of that for you all in the near future. So thank you for joining us, Sharon. We'll talk to you soon. So for Robert and for Tom, this is an exciting show. This happens every other year, and we get a good chance to see some of the really interesting technologies that are coming to the forefront. Robert, you've been going to this for years. Why don't we just start with you? What can you maybe give people a little bit of a background about what IMTS is and how the scope and the size of the show,
Sure.
and start from there.
Sure. Yeah. Well, it started out, I think, just after World War II, 1946 or 48, I think was the first year. I know the first iteration, the first manifestation of it was in Cleveland, and then it settled in Chicago on the following cycle, and that has not changed. You described it well, but still, it's sort of hard to for people who've never been there to grasp it. It runs for 6 days, and it's got any number of parallel activities ongoing. There's people from all over the world. The exhibits are large, and there's people everywhere, and the 100,000 feels like they're all there at the same time, even though that's obviously not what's happening. There's external dynamics and there's internal dynamics. The internal dynamics are probably what most of what I'm going to be paying attention to, at least while I'm there. That is, what people are introducing and what they are emphasizing and what they are trying to get people to understand about their work over the previous 2 years. The external dynamics have to do with how many people are there and who showed up and who didn't show up, and what has changed from 2 years before, and so on and so forth. And that will probably be read in the following weeks about the state of this sector, because in honesty, there is something of a recession going on here. There's a shortage of demand for orders for the people who are meant to be buying machine tools and robots and related technologies. And that means that, the number of orders for machine tools and robots and related technologies is down. So that's the external dynamics. The internal dynamics that I'm following will be sort of like what trends have been continued from 2022, what trends are arriving now. Just for one or two examples of that, in 2022, it seemed like everybody had embraced collaborative robotics. There was cobot on every corner, and that made a lot of sense. And I think it still makes a lot of sense. I'll be interested to see how that trend has gone to any further step. I've got a couple of interviews scheduled with robotics developers. one of them, one of them is sort of on embargo, so I can't say too much about it now. But they seem to have gone so far beyond it that they're not even really there. It's all going to be in the cloud, and all of the programming that a shop or a manufacturer would have for their robots would be done in the cloud, which is sort of fascinating. Um, and then another trend that I'm anxious to refer to is where we are with artificial intelligence. There is, I mean, just to not to toss this off too lively, but obviously artificial intelligence is not new. But I think there, up until this moment, and maybe still, that's what I'm going to find out is there's this huge gap between what the users want to do and think they can do, and what the developers are trying to make them understand and in their words embrace. You've got to like jump all the way into the deep end with this in order to be an AI beneficiary. So I'm there's obviously applications and implications of AI in software, in hardware, in automation, and I'll be trying to tease out some threads that I can work together, and not least for my own understanding.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. The last time I went to the show was in 2018. There was obviously no show in 2020, although it was. Yeah,
I remember right down to the minute, right?
Right. Yeah. I remember that vividly because we were still so early in the pandemic that no one was really sure what was coming next. Was it going to be safe to do this or not? And by the time the show came around in September, we were still very much in that first wave, where the fatality rate of COVID was so much different than what it became even a year later. That it became obvious, but it wasn't really until I would say July, maybe even into August, that it was obvious that the show couldn't take place in 2020. And then I missed the 2022 show, so I'll be really interested to see how it's changed in those few years. Like you were saying, Robert, the number of there's always a trend. There's always something going on. It was Industry 4.0, I would say, was maybe the driving thing in 2018. And in 2016, it was additive was really, that was just capturing everyone's imagination. So there's always kind of this one trend thing that's happening. But at the heart of it, this is still a show about, what are the tools I can put into my factory tomorrow that are going to really boost my productivity and really get me to where I need to be. I mean, Tom, you've been a few times. What's your take on what is IMTS and what are you expecting to see there this year?
Well, this is a show that's interesting for the plant services calendar specifically. My brand focuses on industrial asset management, and a lot of the shows that I go to are focused on thought leadership in that area. What are the applications of condition monitoring technology? What new hardware and tools are emerging in this space to help industrial professionals manage their machines and also manage quality and productivity. In this case, you've got a lot of familiar names on that circuit who are now going to be embedded in this larger context, which Robert just scoped out, which is the machining industry. And so the conversations I'm hoping to have with both familiar names and also some new faces are how are industrial facilities overall perceiving and acting on the use of machine health data, either to drive productivity, to drive capital planning, in addition to, quite frankly, how do you get the repair work done? Robert Brooks, you mentioned that there was a shortage of orders. For a lot of my readers, that's a blessing in disguise, because when there's no orders coming in, it's a chance to do shutdowns and turnarounds and take care of the machine. So I think some of the names that I'm looking forward to seeing at the show specifically are Brightly. They focus on maintenance management. It's a software suite. It's a company owned by Siemens, and a good friend, Corey Dickens, is going to be there. We did a podcast with him about specifically applying industrial asset management standards to microbrewing techniques and how you might want to, how custom craft brewers can adopt those technologies to maintain productivity and quality. He's going to answer the question, when it comes to maintenance work orders, that's a very specific kind of data, machine health. Now that once you've done the thing, repaired the machine, started up again, what do you do with the information? to help inform other parts of operations, energy efficiency, sustainability, again, capital planning. And I'm also looking forward to talking to the team over at Limble, which is a CMMS platform, and they're going to bring one of their customers with them, a guy named Matt Olson, who's a director of facilities and reliability at Bentech. They're a manufacturer of power distribution solutions, and I'm going to ask them about how they're applying, again, this machine health and work order information data to help drive safety and productivity when it comes to power distribution equipment. So it's interesting that a lot of these people that work in the asset management space at this show will be sprinkled among 4 different wings. Normally I see them all in one area, but you've got some over in the machine monitoring systems area. You've got some over in the software area. You've got some positioned in the metal removal area. So for me, it's going to be a long 2-day trek all around the show floor to try and tie together these threads.
Yeah.
So for those of you who have never been to McCormick Place in Chicago, it is a truly massive convention center, and it's broken into 4 different wings: the north, the south, the east. There isn't really a west one, but there are sub areas in the north, south, and east.
Well, there is a west one. It's across the street.
Yeah.
You have to go. You have to go up on a bridge over the street. I spent the last 2 weeks carefully structuring my appointments so that I could spend 2 hours in one place before I had to hustle back to the other end of the thing. It's all been coming apart in the last day and a half, but in any case, that's a big point. If anybody listening is going there for the first time, take note of who you want to see and try to concentrate your attention in one geographic area at a time, because you'll lose your mind running back and forth between these exhibit halls, because each one of them is the size of an NFL stadium, and they are, they're all filled, and they're all sort of loud, and you can't concentrate very easily, and they're crowded. So yeah, it's a very good point. And what you're saying, Tom, is also important. These people, they position themselves, as well as they can near where they think the attendees will be focused on, what they have to say, what they have to show, and so the big machine builders, Mazak, obviously, and those that Haas and those of that type, will be in the South Hall, and then the ones that can't fit in the South Hall will be in the North Hall, which will also have a lot of automation and robotics developers and so forth. And the East Hall, which is the old one across on the side by Lake Michigan, has a lot of the programming and software and networking technologies. And then the West Hall, the one that is on the across the street there. I'm trying to remember what street that is, but it's across the street, and that's material technologies, cutting tools, and systems that seem to relate to that particularly. So, additive manufacturing is a big presence on the West Hall too, and that is sort of gaining in its footprint at IMTS over the last half dozen years, I would say. So
yeah, I'll be really interested to see that additive space, given the turmoil in the additive industry. We still have this, merger craze going on with now Nano Dimension buying up Desktop Metal for 1/10 of what the last offer for Desktop Metal was, and none of those companies are making any money. Stratasys, right. Desktop Metal, Nano Dimension, 3D Systems, just billions of dollars in losses over the past few years. So it'll be really, seeing what they're doing to really scale this technology up and make it really viable, not just for their customers, who seem to be using this technology really well, but for themselves to have sustainable businesses.
This is such an excellent point. And they really need to put the technology forward. And to their credit, they do. I mean, at IMTS and so forth, they do. Not all, but too much of the reporting on additive manufacturing has to do with all of that financing stuff and all of the debt carriage and all of the personalities trying to one up each other. if they put the technology forward and they make a case for what they can do, and that's what is the purpose of being in an exhibition at an event like this, where a lot of these machine shops and manufacturers are potential buyers of additive technology. Then I think that they can move themselves toward an industrial presence, which will be profitable in the long run. But at the present time, their profitability is based on specific applications in aerospace or in medical, and those are great. But in order to justify the capital they're raising with all of their corporate efforts, they need to put the technology forward. I have an interview scheduled with one of those companies, and I'm it's sort of promising what they have to show, and so I'll look forward to that point too. But it's kind of hard to separate the corporate politics from the technology if they don't put the technology out for you.
Right. That's really one of the things. Oh no, so go ahead, Tom. Sorry.
To go with that, I was thinking about the way companies are thinking about their data and trying to extract value from data. 2 years ago, when I was at IMTS, I saw a lot of the exhibits focused on moving data around, connecting data systems. And I think that will still be a focus of the show. But the conversation I'm hearing more and more is how do we extract value from those data to facilitate future capital decisions, operating decisions. In that regard, I'm looking forward to talking to the people at Influx Data, which is a time series platform to collect, store, and analyze time series data. That's sort of the bread and butter of anomaly detection from condition monitoring data, is if you can know what happened and when it happened and where it happened together, that's the magic combination. So you can detect what machines are operating nominally and which are out of baseline. And in that regard too, hardware manufacturers like Kaiser Compressors, Hitachi Global Air Power, they're always on the move to use data from their capital equipment to improve things like energy efficiency, and also not just machine health. So I'm fascinated that the people who are supplying compressed air power to power the automation equipment, you've got one company in this wing, one company in that wing, but the overall message is that the people who are supplying the air also are drawing a lot of energy. And so that's how they're using those machine data, is to monitor, are we being responsible stewards of the environment and using energy efficiently at the company?
One detail that I picked up just from reading their previews and stuff, and I don't want to make it. I don't want to say that there's definitely something happening there, but I think machine connectivity is becoming somewhat more sophisticated, and that's not a new function, but there is some progress, I think, in making these connected networks within a shop or within a plant operation more dynamic and more immediately accessible in terms of what the data is. When this stuff, this is not, as I said, it's not new. MT Connect, I think, is close to 20 years old now. But somebody checked me on that. But the utility of it to the operator has been sort of slow in evolving. The utility to the machine tool builders, of course, is great, and to the tooling designers and tooling manufacturers and tooling suppliers, and to the automation systems and everything like that. But how does that data come back around into the shop itself or into the manufacturer itself? That's something that I have sort of begun to sense is being hinted at. So I guess if you can't sell a new machine, you begin to emphasize the connectivity of the machines that you've already provided, and that's I think perfectly justifiable.
It's going to be a fascinating show. I mean, we're kind of touching on something that I've always felt is a challenge about IMTS, is that we've been talking about machining centers and additive manufacturing and software and asset maintenance, and everything that happens in a manufacturing plant, there's someone selling it or someone displaying it at the show, which is wonderful if you're looking for a lot of different things, but it makes it a big show with lots and lots of exhibitors, and it can be a challenge to meet with all of them, or even meet with a representative sample of every type of one of them there, because there's so many. but that's the challenge. I'm looking forward to it. I haven't been in a few years, so I'm really looking forward to next week to seeing some of those faces, and hopefully people can wow us with their great new systems and impress us with the need to buy all new machines to take advantage of all the great new technologies they'll be displaying.
It's going to be like Norm arriving at Cheers, and all the people are going to say, Robert.
Well, we can only hope. Well, Tom and Robert, thank you so much for your time today. And Sharon Spielman over with our colleague at Machine Design. I'm sorry we couldn't get your audio working, but we're really looking forward to seeing you at the show next week. And we will be doing a special podcast episode from the show sometime next week, which we'll be posting sometime during the week. And I look forward to sharing some of our insights actually after we've actually been there and seen what's on the show floor. So again, thank you both, and have a great day. And thank you for the audience for joining us. We'll talk more when we get past IMTS.
If you see us there, say hello.
Bye, Tom. See you guys soon.
Bye.